The car market is crashing. If you know anything about cars over the last 3 years, you've probably heard that 1,000 times from 1,000 different people. So, why is this different? Why are people now saying the market is crashing? And should you actually believe them, or are they just crying wolf like they have been for the last 3 years? Let's talk about it. First, let's talk about Carmax and why do they have so much influence in the car market. If you guys don't know, Carmax released their earnings report and they don't look good. Spoiler alert, $5.6 billion in lost revenue. And guess what? That's not even the worst part of the earnings report. So let's back it up a little bit. Who is Carmax? What is Carmax? Carmax, if you guys haven't seen one of the million commercials, is a used car dealership, one of the biggest in the country. And their entire philosophy is making car buying easy again. You go in there, there's no hassle, no negotiation, no pressure. You go in, you buy a car, and you leave. And it seems like the dream scenario, but you are paying for that. You're paying for that in overpriced inventory. CarMax's entire philosophy is pay for as much inventory as humanly possible and ship it around the country. And somebody is bound to buy it. But this model might be turning against CarMax because their earnings report shows some serious losses. And if things don't change, CarMax could eventually go under, and that's not good. Now, to be transparent, CarMax really has two business models. They have their consumer side and they have their, let's just call it auction side to make it easy for consumers to understand. The consumer side is what we all know and some people hate and some people love, which you go into a car, you buy a car, you call it a day. But they also have an auction side where they actually auction off a lot of inventory, and that's how they make a large amount of their profits. They actually make on average on their earnings report about $1,100 per car that they auction off. So they buy inventory, then sell it off to other dealerships. But that number has been going down over years as car dealerships have started to wisen up to this. They realize that buying cars at auction doesn't make sense financially. It makes more sense for them to spend extra money to try to get trade-ins. Now, I worked in the dealership for a long time, and I'll tell you that the dealership's ideal scenario is never to buy a car at auction at all. They're lesser quality, they just don't do as well, and they're more expensive. The best cars you can have on your lot for used cars are local trade-ins because they're local, they're going to be better quality, and then a lot of the times they're going to be cheaper. So dealerships are starting to wisen up on that and starting to give extra incentives for people to trade in rather than buying cars from CarMax. But the reason why the earnings report is so bad is, first off, $5.6 billion down in revenue over the quarter. That is a crazy number, but that isn't the scariest number. If we're looking at CarMax's earning report, the biggest thing that we saw is that they're buying less inventory. Remember, CarMax's entire business philosophy is buy as much inventory as humanly possible and sell as much inventory as humanly possible. Sell it either to the consumer or sell it to the wholesale. But they are buying less cars from the consumer at an alarming rate. 15% less cars quarter over quarter. And part of the reason why is they have such an influx of inventory. Let me give you an example. I recently just did a little bit of research on CarMax's website and I found this car right here. Now this car is going to be a RAV4 hybrid. They're selling it for $39,999. XLE doesn't sound like a bad deal, right? Well, I went right down the street to the local Toyota store and I found the same exact car, same exact build, same exact MSRP, but this one was used, CarMax is used, the other one is new, and you could buy that same car for $1,000 less, $38,000 and some change. Now, that doesn't even equate for negotiating. Remember, at CarMax, you cannot negotiate. You couldn't negotiate the car at all. They just don't do that. But with a new car dealership, you can. And even though a lot of people don't think you can negotiate on RAV4 hybrids now, I'll tell you guys, I deal with these cars all the time, and my average discount is anywhere between $2,500 to $3,500, and I've seen as high as $4,000 off on these cars. So if you're paying 38 something, and then you can also negotiate, let's just say even $2,000 on the low end, it makes way more sense to buy from the dealer. Now, I know there's a lot of people that say, well, I buy from CarMax so I don't have to deal with the pressure. But if you didn't want to have to deal with the pressure, you could just go to the dealership, say yes to their MSRP, and still get a better deal. And that's where CarMax is having an issue. They have a lot of inventory that they overpaid for because there was a while where people were buying RAV4 hybrids at above MSRP. But the new car market has already started to correct itself. The average discount on a new car right now is getting closer to 4%, which before it was right around 1%. For my clients, I'm getting anywhere between 7 to 10% off, and I think that's going to be the norm as the market continues to shift. The new car inventory is getting the highest that it's been in years. And because of this, it is going to have a drastic impact on the used car market. And markets don't shift overnight. Like COVID is a premium example. When COVID first started and inventory started to be hit, inventory prices didn't automatically just go up. It's actually on the contrary. Everything went down in price because dealerships panicked because they weren't making sales. So instead, they started discounting everything like crazy, trying to get people in. And they were paying crazy amounts for the trade. Eventually, they wisened up as the market was saying this was going to be a long-term thing and started increasing the price of their cars, understanding that they had more supply or they had more demand than there was supply. But that market didn't change overnight. There was about a 6-month period where it was the perfect time to buy a car. You could get the most for your trade plus a crazy deal on a new car. And we expect the same thing to happen with this market. The new car market has already started to crash. Again, I'm seeing discounts 7 to 10%, and there's some outliers, the Grand Highlander Hybrid, the GX550, things like that. But when it comes to most cars, you can get pretty good deals on them. But used car markets have remained strong, and I expect by the end of the year, used car markets are going to crash. And I think some things we need to look out is if Carvana or Carmax start to do mass auctions. They're not going to make money anytime soon. Carmax is going to have a very bad year. But I think what they're going to probably start doing is auctioning off cars at a massive rate to try to get rid of some of this inventory. And they understand they're going to take losses on this. And when that happens, that is when the used car market is going to crash because there's going to be an influx of inventory. So this is the question you have to ask yourself, which is, I'm ready to buy a used car. Should I wait? Or should I keep on shopping? Or should I shop right now? And the answer really depends on, do you need a new car? Again, this market shift could take 6 months to a year. We're talking about this starting signs that this could happen. It definitely has to happen. Guys, there's no reality that the used car market doesn't eventually correct itself. At this point in time, I can get a brand new RAV4 cheaper with my negotiation skills than I can most used car RAV4s. That's insane. That's impossible, and there's no way that that market sustains itself. That car will sit on its lot forever as more and more consumers wisen up. Again, most consumers just don't realize that you can negotiate right now, which is what is causing the issue in the market. As more and more consumers get wiser and understand that negotiability is a thing, that market is going to crash. So this might take 6 months to a year. So if you're looking to buy a car, just buy one. Don't try to wait for the market to come out because in reality, we all could be wrong. And this market could stay strong for another 5 years. I don't see it. There's no reason why this market would stay strong, but buy a car when you need a car. Don't try to predict the market because especially with your trade, if you're trading in a car, your trade value is going to lose as much value as these prices are going to decrease. So you're just going to offset anything anyways. So buy a car when you need a car, not when the market intends. I want to give you guys insight on the market. I want to give you guys car buying tips. I want to help people buy cars. I do this on TikTok. I do this on Instagram, and I obviously do this here on YouTube. And I want this YouTube to be a little bit more long form, a little bit more in-depth information. So if you like this kind of content, just do me a favor. I want you to like, follow, subscribe. I want you to look up right up there. We'll put it right up there. We're gonna have my last video. I do live negotiations on this channel. But if you go over here, this would be how you subscribe to the channel. If you guys want more information, if you guys don't know who I am, my name's Tommy. I was in the industry and sales for over a decade, and now I help people buy cars. I negotiate. I help about over 50 to 100 clients a month negotiate a car deal. So I deal with hundreds of dealerships on a monthly basis. I was in finance, I was in sales, I was a manager, but now I'm on the side of the consumer. Thank you guys so much for the support and have a great day.